a city that had places that had names that were more poetic than the places themselves. Churchgate, Chandivali. I was the daughter of two migrants to the city, so I came with no legacy of my own. Like every suburban Mumbaiker, I knew the 2-kilometer radius around my patch of land, and I knew it really well. I knew how many black pigs there were in Marol village, how many speed breakers there were on the road to Sahar Airport. Everything beyond that was just another jungle. So in 2005, when an HR person spelled out the word Chinch Pokli to me on the phone, I laughed. I'd heard of it before. I'd heard of it in a flop movie called Roop Ki Rani Choro Ka Raja, where the heroine's name was Princess Chai Mein Chini of Chinch Pokli.
Yes.
He did not find it funny, but he gave me the job. I took it up assuming it was somewhere in rural Karnataka. Turns out it was in Mumbai, South Bombay. Not the South Bombay of the posh accents and the pretty girls, but the South Bombay of the mill workers who wrote the history of this city in their yarns and the dyeing and all their work which clothed the rest of the country. It was all gone by the time I went to work there, lost to years of union strikes and labor negotiations. Very little remained of the culture that had brought this city to prosperity. One broken window somewhere, one rusted gate, one weed-encrusted pillar that said, "Oh, people lived here once." I walked in every day in my high heels and my Van Heusen outfit, new economy striding very confidently over the old. But every day the geographical markers of my history expanded, and each day of my life that I added to the ones that came before mine, the city became a little more mine. I started exploring the area around, trying to get to know this place that I came from, trying to understand myself, my legacy, my identity. One day I decided to take a different route, and I opened the gate behind my office. I opened the gate and it was as if I had stepped into a time warp. On my left there was a broken mill. On the right hand side was a snapshot right out of the 1980s. There was a row of shops selling phantom cigarettes. There were kids playing with cycle tires. There were women selling fish that did not smell because it was that fresh. It was all reminiscent of a time when the men had jobs and the women had children to feed and food to feed them. I walked down to the end of the road and there was a neat board at the end of it that said Cotton Green. I read such a mystical name, I turned around and came right back, and I assumed that I had cleaned it. Too much sun can do that to somebody who lives their entire life in an office cubicle. I looked it up on the internet. There was nothing online about Cotton Green at that time. My curiosity pulled me back, and the next day I went and visited beyond the board, and I found a railway station there, but a very different kind of station from the ones that I knew, Andheri, Dadar. It didn't have broken paving, it had cobblestones. And to my delight, I discovered that there was a train line going from Cotton Green to Andheri. This patch of my city's history connected to my patch of land. I started taking the train line every day to work, because every single day I was trying to retrace my own history and map it on my city's history. One day, this news item caught my eye. It was accompanied by a really National Geographic style photograph of long-winged pink birds. It was a story announcing the onset of the pre-monsoon showers. I looked at it with some skepticism because I said, where in the city are there flamingos? We are a city of crows with thieving intent and pigeons with stomach upsets. Flamingos look too pink, too ridiculous to be real. Flamingos exist in Alice's Wonderland, not in Bombay. But this was a story about, this story said that these flamingos lived in marshlands throughout the year, and every year, just at the end of summer, they took flight. Cotton Green, it said, was the station to get down and to go and see them. That morning when I got down at the station, I looked up overhead expecting to find pink birds flying around. And then I took out my newspaper, Cotton Green, flamingos, real station, real birds. I thought, someday I'll take a left turn and go and see this vivid patch of green in shades that you never see in a dusty Mumbai summer. And maybe just beyond that I'll see flamingos. The next day I went out of town. I returned a week later, and by then the monsoons had started. I hoped that the flamingos had had a safe flight, and then I said, nice dream for a train ride to work. But the next year, the newspaper carried one more article and a different photograph of flamingos. This time, I said, this time, instead of turning right and going and seeing those broken buildings and the new city that's getting constructed over them, I will turn left and go and see the Flamingos. Someday I'll do it. Just as soon as I finish this conversation about my promotion, just as soon as I get my bonus, I'm going to go there and celebrate with Flamingos. It's so hot today and I'm wearing high heels anyway. Oh my god, I have a client meeting. I've got to go and finish that and then I'll get to this. At the end of that month, I was transferred to Andheri. There was no reason for me to go to Cotton Green anymore. I started every Monday hating my life, hating work, and thinking, someday I'll take that train ride down, not because I need to go to work, but because I take a left turn and go and see Cotton Green. That day never arrived. Cotton Green has been dubbed Lower Colaba. The mills, the malls, the mills buildings have all been razed. Most of them have given way to malls and posh high-rises. I don't even know if the Flamingos are there anymore. But every day I live and breathe in a city where people are desperately struggling to find inspiration, where people are burdened by service tax and rising land prices, people who know their lives can be changed like this with one ruling from Delhi or even the Bombay High Court. And in my mind, I think I come from a city that knows differently. I remember a place where millworkers' children are playing with cycle tires and chewing on phantom cigarettes. I come from a city where there's fish being sold straight out of the sea. This place has as much room for poetry and nostalgia as any other place in the world. And my Annapurna blessed fishing village, Spanish princess's dowry of an island, has pink long-winged birds that take flight every summer. My city has flamingos.